Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andy and I'm back after a long time away. I'm back doing something a little bit different. Obviously you know me from my FIFA videos and whatnot and tutorials and sort of gaming reviews and things. But I've sort of come away. FIFA's not been great this year, or it's just to me there's no need to do anything along those lines, and then other things have just been a bit all over the place with personal going-ons, movings, and things like that. But anyway, we're back to discuss which you should buy: Series X, PlayStation 5. Both of mine are just over in the corner. I'm going to give you sort of my views, honest opinions, try and keep it unbiased, and sort of now they're coming more into stock, what you should buy. So there's not going to be any gameplay going on, it's just going to be me with a little picture in the background. So if that's your thing, great. If not, I do apologise. So just a little bit of background about my gaming, just so you can see where I'm coming from. So I'm 900 years old now. I've been gaming for well over 30 years. My basic memories are arcade machines, Operation Wolf, Thunderblade, things along those lines, the shooters. I think my first ever games machine was a Spectrum 48K ZX Sinclair. Or if you've probably never even heard of that, but yes, you used to play games on a cassette tape, pop it in, put about 3,000 commands in, basically program the game yourself, wait for it going like for about 7 hours, and then it'd fail. You chuck your tape in bin and then you try another one. From there we went on to a Nintendo, an NES, then a Mega Drive. I had a SNES for a very short period of time, and then I think we went into Sega Saturn, PlayStation. I had an N64, the Amiga CD32, a Commodore 64. I've had Game Boys, I've had GameCubes, I've had the Switch, I've had the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, the mini variants of all, the pro variants of them all. When the PlayStation 1 came out, I wanted the PlayStation, but my family bought the Sega Saturn, which had some good games, but the PlayStation was obviously better. I ended up sticking with the PlayStation. The PlayStation 2 came out. A friend came round to mine. He showed me. I think I was still playing sort of Amiga at that time. I like my retro games. A friend came round, and he showed me GTA 3 on a PlayStation 2. It blew my mind. I ran to my uncle's shop the next day, and I said, "Look, we must get one of these." PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. I never liked the Xbox. I thought it was massive. I didn't care for sort of the Rainbow Six games, the PGR at the time, Forza. I wasn't a fan of. I preferred the more arcadey single player. Never been a fan of Halo. Waiting for the PlayStation 3. Didn't care anything for the Xbox 360 at all. When my mates bought one, I used to tell them it was going to fail and it was going to be awful. And the PlayStation 3 just kept getting delayed, and there were issues with it. So in the end, I took my PlayStation 2, pile of about 100 games, and I said, look, if I can get the 300-400 quid for this, I'm buying an Xbox. Went into a shop, bought 360, and I fell in love with it. The games I got were Just Cause, Oblivion, and Dead Rising, I think were the 3 games I got. And then that was my first real... I played PC games online before, but for console gaming, I think it was PGR 3, maybe? No, PGR 2, maybe. There was the 361 that came out. Met a lot of friends on there, and the rest was history. I stuck with Xbox. Eventually, I bought a PlayStation 3 just for the exclusives, but I was never, ever impressed with the PlayStation 3. Played Metal Gear 4 was one of the games that I wanted to play. Graphically, it was amazing. I got tired of the cutscenes and things. Played a couple of games, but I just, the big aircraft carrier size of the PlayStation 3. I just thought it were a bit clunky, and it never impressed me too much. On mine, I played all the retro games. Final Fantasy VII was the game I went for. Then the Xbox One came out. Obviously, everybody laughed at the announcement, and I thought it was a letdown, but all my friends were with Xbox, so I bought an Xbox One. Again, many years on the Xbox, kept through all the family. Got a PlayStation 4 eventually. I've had a couple of PlayStation 4s, but again, it was just for exclusives, and I only ever bitted and bobbed with it because I was sort of pushed into collecting achievements on the Xbox, and the PlayStation again, it was for the single player exclusives. I couldn't fault, but again, I was into that. I was achievement hunting. I was playing co-op games. I wanted to be online. All my friends were on Xbox, so I stuck with Xbox. And then we got the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X or One S. I got the One S first. Kept that very shortly, and then moved on to the One X. World's most powerful console. Yeah, that a lot from Xbox. World's most powerful console. Stuck with that. Then I ummed and ahed, bought a Series S because I wanted to keep up with the sort of new trends. My PS4 just collected dust, along with my Switch and a lot of other machines. And then sort of stuck with the Series S for a bit, and then I managed to get my hands on a Series X at Christmas. And the difference between the S and the X is unfounded. It just looks unreal, absolutely unbelievable. But I kept hearing this world's most powerful console and Microsoft are acquiring all these studios. I'm like, but where are the games? Like, all these thousands of games, we've got these, but they're either old games, they're indie games, the games that I don't really care too much about. And if I am playing, I'm playing pixely type games, I'm playing retro games. There's nothing new. Gears is tired, Halo's tired, Forza I don't really care for. So these games are not really my cup of tea, as it were. Or they've just burnt me out. Also, with online games and the achievements, I found myself not enjoying games anymore because I was like playing games with a friend, and we'd play all sorts of rubbish, and I mean some tack, and even I'd download some single player tack, and I was forcing myself to chase that gamer score. I think I'm starting about 500,000 now, and I just found myself I'm not enjoying gaming. And that scared me a little bit because gaming's been a massive part of my life as it is now my kids' life, and it's a connection between us. And I thought, well, if I've not got games, I might have to go outside and touch grass, and that's something that I can't deal with. So I got my PlayStation 4 out a little bit. Again, I was just so disjointed from gaming. And then I ummed and ahed with a PlayStation 5, saw the size of one, and I thought, I'm not even going to be able to get that in my front door. We're back to sort of PS3 levels of massive, even bigger. And they were never in stock, so it put me off. And then when they were, I was like, and then we were out and about. I went to buy my lad football from Sports Direct, and of all places, in the wild, there was a PlayStation 5 in Sports Direct. So £500 later, we came home with a PlayStation 5. Plugged it in, set it up, loaded up Horizon, the new Horizon, and I've never looked back since. My Xbox has been untouched for the most part, and my PlayStation has now taken. So that's backstory. So I'm not biased to one or the other. If you could say anything, I'm more of an Xbox fanboy than I have been PlayStation, but I'm a gamer. I've got, like I said, about 500,000 game score on Xbox. I've got about 20 trophies on PlayStation. I couldn't even tell you. And I'm going to tell you why that's a good and a bad thing. So let's get into the meat of the video and what we're here for and what my suggestions are. So we'll start with Xbox. So Series X. So obviously the Xbox has been around a while now. It's got some good features. I mean, one, it claims to be the most powerful console in the world. It's got all these teraflops and gigabytes and quarter decibels and methane injected turbos and whatever else on it. Fantastic. The downside of that is nothing's showing it off. We've got Gears, we've got Halo, we've got Forza, and without riffing on them, I mean, racing games always look good. It does not matter on the platform. As far back as time goes, racing games are the easiest to produce. So people go, oh, look at Forza, this is amazing. It's always been the case because of how racing games work. And they do look good, don't get me wrong, especially if you've got a 4K telly, because I went from a quite powerful 1080 telly. My 4K TV was broken, and it's only just recently, again around Christmas, that I've actually got. I thought my 4K TV was just rubbish, and it had a rubbish picture, but it turns out that there was a manufacturing fault for when I've had it. So I've had this TV for 3 or 4 years. I didn't even realise. I've had that fixed now, and we're back with a bang. And it is phenomenal. So for those of you who are on the edge with 4K TVs and things, there is a difference. So we had the Series S. So let's start with the Series S first of all, because that's where we're at. So the Series S is available everywhere. You can pick one up online, second hand. I've just sold mine for about 120 quid. Nobody wants them now. Sort of people did what I did. They wanted that new console. They needed an edge. The PS5's out of stock. The Xbox is out of stock. What do I do? Oh, is this Series S? So as an entry-level console, The Series S is quite good. I'll go into the graphics in a minute. You do get that jump, and you do sort of get future-proofed into you can play both console generations. If you are just a casual gamer, or you're buying it for your child and they just want a new console, you're sort of stuck back in 360 days, or the young and they're moving up, they don't really play a lot of games, or if you've just got a little bit of time on your hand, you don't want to spend a fortune, you've got the Series S. It's not bad. The downside straight away is there's no disc tray. It is digital only, so you can only download from the internet or get digital keys and whatnot, but you need a stable internet connection. Good. Obviously, the higher your internet, the more speed you've got, the more fun you're going to have, because honestly, when I downgraded my internet, going from downloading a game in 10 minutes to waiting 3-4 hours is not fun. If you're an avid gamer like me, or somebody that plays a lot of games, the Series S, see the shortfalls come quite quick and fast, and you start to realise it's not actually as good on paper. So as I say, I had Xbox One. I don't think there was another model till the One S. If there was, I did own it, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember if they did a One Elite or whatever, but I had One S, One X. My One X broke, the hard drive failed, and then I went into Series S, repaired my One X, and then eventually got Series X. So side by side with the One X and the Series S. Now, obviously on the newer games, you get these nice shiny HDR features and things. The problem is, if you're playing an Xbox One version, and it on the One X, it upscales and it gets all the nice shiny features, and it looks great. So say Red Dead Redemption or whatever, games along those lines, they look fantastic on the One X. On the Series S, they do not upscale to the One X version. So your older generation games do not look as good as what they do on the One X. They only upscale to the One S version. Now, to somebody who just comes in, you don't realise that. I had a setup where because I was playing one and my son was playing the other, so we had two TVs sort of facing each other, and I put them both on. When you do that and you play a game, say like Red Dead or something, or one of the older games that upscales and takes advantage of the One X, it soon becomes clearly apparent of how bad of a job the Series S actually does. One of the other things I noticed as well is when you're playing optimized games, so Series S/X games, so new gen games, if it were, you can start noticing like blurring. Like I noticed, like even FIFA, my son plays a lot of Fortnite, but on some of these games that were meant to be optimized, they look nice, but they didn't quite look crisp. And that's obviously because you don't get the full 4K experience and the full Series X optimization, because obviously it's a Series S. And to my eye, being a gamer, I wasn't blown away by it. And I was like, well, if I want new gen, because this is a trend now, it's like a mobile phone. There's a new one out every week now, and it's the same with these consoles. And I'm not personally a fan of it. Obviously, it's good for business, but for me, I like sort of when I went from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, there was a massive difference, PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3. Even when you go back, like going from the NES to the, looking at a Mega Drive, an 8-bit to a 16-bit, 16 to a 32-bit, when we had the bit wars, the difference was vast. But now, which I'll touch on later with the PlayStation, it's a lot harder to get that leap, and that's what I want. And I think the Series S let me down, and not just the Series S, but Microsoft, but we'll touch on that later. One of the other shortfalls of the S, which I found personally, is like I say, I've got Game Pass, I've got Xbox Live Gold, I think I've got a back catalogue of around 800 games, a game share with somebody as well. So I've got near on 1,000 games when you look into Game Pass. And then obviously there's no way you can play 1,000 games at once. You can't play 2 games at once. But what I like to have my main online co-op game. I like to have a competitive game. I like to have a sort of sit, chill, quick blast game. I like to have a game that I can just switch off and not bother with, and just unwind, and then just something that's a bit different. So, for example, like FIFA was my competitive game. Overwatch if I've wanted that sort of online shoot. Dead by Daylight if I'm playing with friends. I'm playing a bit of Ori. And then just some indie games. Scott Pilgrim, Cobra Kai, Streets of Rage, just beat 'em ups. Okay, but I've got my son with me now as well, so he wants to play Fortnite, he wants to play Roblox, he wants to play Rocket League, he wants to play Warzone, and whatever else he wants. Great, fantastic. The problem with the Series S is the hard drive, because obviously you've got your operating system, you've got that 500 gig, which is great, but when games now are all coming at over 100 gig each, that hard drive space soon gets set up. Now I do have a external hard drive, and you only need to install Series S/X games on the internal hard drive. You can put all your old school games on the external hard drive, so that solves some of it. However, at only 500 gig, and if you've only got sort of 400 gig after system, it's only 3 or 4 games that you've got on. Now, what you can do is when you're not playing them, is transfer your series optimized games onto the external hard drive, and then when you want to play it, you transfer it back. Problem is when I've been playing something before, the night before, and then my lad gets up and then he wants to do Fortnite, oh, right, and then I'm waiting to do something or go into an event on a game, it's like, oh, I've got to do that again. And one experience I've had with the Xbox is I've had about 4 or 5 hard drive failures on them, and again, quality, I'll be honest, my experience with Xbox has not been great with build quality, whether it be headsets, controllers, the machine itself. You've had the red ring of death over time, and every console has its issues, but it's been predominant. I mean, I can't tell you how many controllers I've been through with stick drift or the bumpers not working. The disk drive on every single one of my Xboxes has failed, aside from the Series X, but they could have failed. I don't know. We don't use it. I don't buy disc games anymore. But you can buy a storage card, which is another 500 gig, I believe. Might have even done a terabyte one now. I'm not too sure. That slots into the back of your Series S, and expands the storage. The problem with that is the price. There's no third-party ones, and there's no way around it at the minute. As I say, so if you want that collection of series newer games that are coming out, and some games now are getting massive anyway, so you can have one game on your hard drive. The problem is if you buy your Series S and then the extension card, you've paid the price of a PlayStation 5 or a Series X, so it's just not worth it. So Series S, what I ended up using mine for was an emulation machine. Now you can. Now easier than ever. You used to have to be a developer, but there's little little apps you can download. Pretty easy to do. You just need a USB stick in there and do some bits on your laptop. I think they've even changed it now so you can download straight to the console. But basically, I was running everything. I didn't go for. I was running MAME, a lot of arcade games. I didn't bother with the NES, but SNES, Mega Drive, Saturn, N64, GameCube, everything up to the Wii you can run on a Series S or X, and that's what I did. It was just sat in the bedroom as a media player, and I had these apps installed, and it was just an emulator. I was just playing an old school arcade machine, and that's what my S become. So then we move on to the X, the world's most powerful console. Now, size-wise, bit of a break. It doesn't look that nice, but however, if you look at it, I can't really move you around because I didn't think ahead and plug the webcam in that I've got over there. I'm using my laptop one, but mine fits nicely into my cabinet, and with my soundbar, a few other bits that I've got going on, it looks nice. It fits in. It's it's all this big. Fits nice in. Does get a lot of disc. It's quiet. Machine overall. When I ran that next to my Series S, the improvements were massive. Like even Fortnite that my son plays, that was the first thing I was like, wow, look at this. And then I loaded other things up and everything's just bigger, brighter, bolder, faster. Unreal. The problem I had though with it is, again, I subscribe to Game Pass. I've got everything that you can sort of have for the Xbox. Game Pass is the big one. So power, we'll just cut straight to the Xbox Series X is a lot more powerful than the S. So if you just want a machine and you want the best, go for the X. If you want to stay in the Xbox family, don't bother with the S. Get the X. The power, the zoom features, everything it's got going for it. Don't and ah. Just save your money. Do whatever. Get the X. Don't bother with the S. The S is gone in bin. Unless, like I say, you're you're struggling a bit, or you're just bringing your kids into gaming, just make sure you understand the shortfalls, like no disk drive, the space. It is digital only, so you're going to need a good internet connection, but that's when you go for the S. But if you're a gamer and you want to take it seriously, then you go for the X, on the Xbox side of things. So we've got the world's most powerful console, and like I said, one of them, if a new game comes out and I like the looks of it, I'm in, I'm all in. Game Pass, I can't remember the last time I utilised, because I either own the game already, or the stuff that's coming out on it is, to me, basically shovelware, or close to it. It is just the same old ramble, over and over again. You go through periods, so it were just, cheap pixel 2D things. There was something like a coffee shop simulator or something, which weren't even a simulator, it was just weird aliens that wanted to do the mamushka together and drink coffee, and it's like, what is this? And you do get some gems on there, don't get me wrong, there's games that I wouldn't personally buy, but I'm glad they're on there. But then it also becomes an expense, and I'm not sure fully of the ins and outs with how Game Pass works and money works for the developers and things. But surely it's got to be in some games. But there's some games like, what was it, Back 4 Blood, that I was hyped for. I bought it, I pre-ordered it digitally, watched some gameplay, I ended up cancelling it. I heard it come to Game Pass. Same with Outriders, I think. And they're just games that, to me, this is what I personally feel with Game Pass. If the game's not going to sell and it knows it's not going to sell, it goes to Game Pass. With Microsoft exclusives, you're a fan or you're not. If you're a fan of Gears, Halo, and Forza, nobody's going to say a bad word about them. They're the best thing ever, and Halo's the best game ever. For me personally, I like a first-person shooter game. Halo's never ever done it for me. Never once. Even when I first played Halo on the original Xbox, all the way I've played every single one of them, tried to give it chance and time again. I find it boring. It doesn't do it for me. Gears, when it first came out, I thought it were a novel idea, thought it were alright. It's just grown so stale now that I can't stand to even look at the game. And then racing games, I'm more of an arcadey racer, and I know you've got the Horizon games now which fit that, but I prefer old school Need for Speeds and things along those lines. So they're the big sort of 3-4 games on Xbox that you have now. The problem with Xbox exclusives, I think, is the Xbox crowd. So there have been some good exclusives. There's been Rise, Sunset Overdrive, Quantum Break. They're not amazing games, don't get me wrong, they're not amazing, but they're not bad games. Now, the Xbox crowd wants exclusives. Oh, we want all these. But when they come out, nobody buys them. They really don't, and they get forgotten about. And then the big IPs that should be good, like Crackdown. If you look at Crackdown 3, love Crackdown 1, Crackdown 2 were amazing. Everybody couldn't wait for Crackdown 3, and it was just a cluster again. And honestly, it's probably one of the most painful gaming experiences from a big sort of AAA game that I've ever experienced. It was not fun. I hated it. I couldn't wait for it to end, and I never want it to darken my doorstep again. And this is where Xbox is. The biggest breath of fresh air for me with Xbox was Sunset Overdrive, and that's a story for another video of what happened there and what Xbox could have had. But it boasts its great big power and all this, and it's like, but where is it then? Because there's only so many times I can play 2D Pixel Boy Adventures or Pixel Farm Maryland Fantastic Edition. Give me a game that shows me this is the world's most powerful console, and Xbox does not do that. So where Xbox has had me hooked over the years is the online side. I will say the online side's solid. I've never, apart from you get outages, but you get outages everywhere. You get outages with your internet, your phone. Nothing's perfect, and everything's the best until it's not. And that's the same with anything. Everybody will swear by Vauxhall, but you'll have had one that have, it broke down on you, so it's the worst car ever. Some people like iPhone, some people like Android, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, it's your personal preference. But like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But like I say, the online side of things, I've had no issue with ever. I think it's been great. Don't mind paying for the service. Then they brought Game Pass in, which I thought was great. So Game Pass, for those that you don't know, it's a subscription service. So everything's built in now. It's about 10, 11 quid a month. That gets you online access. You get perks every month. So if you play certain games, you get like 3 packs and DLC and stuff. Depending what the games are, but even that's a bit hit and miss. You get your 2 free games of gold a month, which are what you used to get if you just subscribe to Xbox Live. You'd get like an Xbox One game and then an Xbox 360 game or whatever. I couldn't tell you the last time I touched games of gold again, because they're so old, or just the same ramble again now, that it just doesn't interest me. With Game Pass, as I say, it just seems a lot of it's shovelware. There are a couple of little gems on there, but when you look at it, it's either games that are old and you've played them 1,000 times, or the games that they're just not gonna sell. Like, they're not gonna do well. People will buy them, but not by the millions. They're not going to be Game of the Year and things like that. And then I say, as with the Xbox exclusives, they just don't put the heart into them. It just seems to be like a big monopoly now, getting everything in, and that's it. But that's the biggest Game Pass. So as I say, Game Pass, it's your perks. You can get rewards every month, like Microsoft points, about 5,000, which is about $5 a month. They do free sweepstakes, and then you get Game Pass itself, which is just a library of games. So all first-party Microsoft exclusives will come to Game Pass on Game One. Think of it as Netflix, but for gaming. So it's a big library of games. It changes every month or so. All Xbox exclusives, like first-party, will go day one onto the system, and then any of their partners will choose. It'll either be like sort of day one, or it'll be a month or two down the line. There's no guarantees how long the games will be on there. Some are on there for a matter of weeks. Others have been on there months. Others have been on there, a year or more. So it's not bad. If you're somebody who's just coming into gaming, again, it's fantastic. Like my little nephew, for example, he's just started getting into gaming. He's never been a gamer, so for him, it's great because he's got all these games that he can download. For somebody like me who's been there and done it all and seen it all, I'm paying money for nothing at the minute. Build quality with the Xbox, as I say, I've not had one where the disk drive's not failed yet, apart from the Series X, but touch wood, I don't know. I've not used it. Controllers, I think they are the best controller. I think they're most comfortable. I do love the Xbox controller. The only problem is since the 360 days, is these are made of paper. Again, they're not built to last. Like anything these days, they know at 50, 60 quid a throw, they've got you. A year, 2 down line, one small drop, that's it. You're back to shops to buy a new one. Because even the components, if you take one of these apart inside, are so flimsy. Thought there's something rattling in there, and I've only had that. He just sits here. I'll turn around, play a game, and then that's it. Very light use. Anyway, so that's Xbox. So it's got the world's most powerful console with nothing to prove that statement. I got sort of addicted, as I say, to the gamer score. So for those that don't know, gamer score, it's achievements, and each game usually has 1,000 points, and it's just like a little medal, if you like, or a little reward. You'll do, I don't know, kill 10 enemies, you'll get an achievement for 10 points, and it just accumulates to your global score, and it's just something with your friends. But I got tied into that, and I got bored, and I got disjointed from gaming, and I was worried, and then we got the PS5. So yeah, might sound I'm plopping on the Xbox. I'm not, but you've got your box, you've got your controller. That is really it. There's nothing more you can do with it. They have the Kinect system, which I thought was great. Never really took off like it should. Everybody hated the Kinect with the Xbox One because they thought they were going to spy on you and watch you doing things. If you're that important that Microsoft wants to sit and watch you have a Thomas or whatever and, do your thing, that's fine. I don't really care. People have seen worse through my windows, I'm sure. But the Kinect died a death, and then there's nothing. They never supported VR. They showed the aluminum thing and the holographic thing, which never ever came to anything. People jumped on it and said, "Oh, this is going to be amazing. Everybody's going to have one," and it was never really meant for public consumption anyway. It was meant to be for businesses or shops and things like that as a little bit of a wow factor, but nothing ever came of it. So you've got your console. There's no dance mats anymore. There's no light guns. There's nothing for Xbox. It's just if you're online orientated or you're coming from the PC crowd, then Xbox may be for you. Obviously, if you've got a PC as well with Game Pass does share to your PC as well. So if you've got a gaming rig, you can subscribe to one and you get both, and obviously there's more games on PC. Sorry, a little fly coming in here, than there is on the console. So there we are. So then we move over to this little puppy dog, PlayStation 5. Where have you been all my life? So we've told the story of how we got a PlayStation. I'm going to give you my views on it and then where I think you should be. So as I say, the PlayStation's cost me an arm, a leg, and somebody else has had to sell my child as well. Not really. So I bought a PlayStation 5 and I had a little bit of buyer's remorse in car. Haha, fly. Cheeky me. I had a little bit of buyer's remorse in car and I was thinking, God, and then I was thinking, shall I scalp now? I had a quick look online. I'm like, I've just paid 500, I can get one for 700 quid here. And I didn't. I'm like, no, that's it. I need a treat. We've had a bit of a rough time. Let's buy a PlayStation. And I'll come to another reason why I bought a PlayStation in a minute. Came home, plugged it in. There were 2 games I got Horizon with it. Forbidden West, I think it is the new one. And I picked up for myself the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I played on PS4 prior. But I was never overwhelmed with it. Final Fantasy VII is probably my favourite game of all times, and I just thought it looked bloody. Bear in mind, I didn't have the PS4 Pro, I only had the PlayStation Slim. I thought it looked mudded, I didn't think the textures were great, and it just didn't wow me like it should. Came in, my little lad were playing out on the bike, plugged their PlayStation in, played Horizon, and I was like, wow. I've played the first Horizon, which made me wow. Anyway, all the PlayStation games I've ever played, especially on the 4 family, PlayStation 4 and 5, have wowed me. The technical side of them is just unreal. Then I loaded in Final Fantasy VII. Let's have a look at that remake. And wow, again, the difference, absolutely phenomenal. But the one game that made me say, I don't care if there's any other game on this system, and to me should be a benchmark. Now, you've got all these technical games. I mean, like Marvel Spider-Man, absolutely fantastic. The Uncharted series, I mean, you are a bit of a mass genocidist in it, but again, you can't take away the cinematics from it. God of War, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima. I've not played Days Gone yet, but I want to. Like Until Dawn, all these games are like technical masterpieces. And there's just so much like fine detail, like Aloy, where it rains and she'll wash her face and you'll see the mud like pour down her face. The little like specks on Spider-Man that'll pick up in real time. It's just phenomenal. But this one game that made me fall in love with gaming again, and all my worries about me being disjointed from gaming and this is it for me now, I'm gonna have to sit and collect stamps or go and watch trains or something, was the Astrobot game on PlayStation. It's just a free game on PlayStation, and it's just sort of like a tech demo. So you're basically in the game, you're a little bot, you're inside a PlayStation 5, and then it's just a nostalgia trip. So you just go down, you go play levels based on the different components in the console itself, but then you'll pick up relics as they are, which will be like a PlayStation 1 console, PlayStation 1 controller, an old disc, a Blu-ray disc, a memory card, visual memory unit, things like that. And that side of things just made me smile, because obviously I've grown up with that. But the actual gameplay and the graphics and the sound, and there's like a little song playing on one levels, and then you can find the like a little Easter egg. It's like got the chorus, the words written out on a wall. And you find yourself bopping along and you're singing it, and then my little lad coming in and he's singing it, and that one game made me fall back in love with gaming. And I've played all these banjo games. I've played, ukulele, Ori, I can't really say anything bad about, but I've played all these sort of 3D platformers that are meant to be the new mascot. And I remember playing Sonic and Mario back in the day, and even them games have lost. Mario's never really lost its way. I think Sonic has over the years. Even when it's gone back to its 2D roots, I think it's a bit much in places. But this Astro, you've got your things like on the PlayStation controller. This is where I'm going to go. This does nothing. Nothing. It's a controller. This on your PlayStation, so you've got a little microphone here. There's one point where there's a little fan. You've got to blow into the controller, and it powers the fan up. There's another part where you're on like monkey bars, and you have to swing the controller like this, and then press a button, and then flick him up. There's one where it's all motion censored, so you're turning it, These triggers are like pressure sensitive, so if you've got something, the harder you press it, it'll work. And then you've got the feedback motions that like inside. You've got these have got rumble, but it just annoys me. I turn it off. This has got like little feedback everywhere in the controller, so you can feel everything. So little bits of grass that you walk on all feel different. And then for those that you didn't know, on the PlayStation, this is like a touchpad, so like a mouse pad. And it's also clicks in as well. So you've got things on here where you might have to like draw. And it just, it doesn't feel like a fad or tacked on. Like sometimes you think, oh God, have I got to do this again? Like I can't, I'm just trying to think of stuff where it's novel at first, but then it's like, oh, I'm bored of this now. Like I enjoyed every minute of it, and I couldn't wait to see what the next one was. The one that was like Super Monkey Ball, and you had to like sort of like as though you were like rolling a rollerball sort of thing. You had to like roll it on here and to change direction and things. It was just fantastic. And that's where you've got. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but you've got with the games, you've got Xbox claiming it's the world's most powerful console. I loaded up a couple of older games, so I've got all my accounts back now. And the two games that I wanted to have a look at and see if that I just had my rose-tinted glasses on, or they were truly what I've built them up to be, and said that they are probably the two best-looking games. Well, not the two best-looking games, because I mean, looking at Horizon, even this Astro Room, are fantastic. Like just the crisp of them and feel. There's nothing like it on Xbox. But I'd loaded up Infamous Second Son and the PlayStation 4 Ratchet and Clank, and they've got slight. I don't think they've added anything to them, but the PlayStation 5 just unlocks the true potential of the game, so it plays at better frames per second. Obviously, the scaling's a lot better, and they just blew my mind again. Like these games that are so old, and I stand by it. There is nothing. Don't even think of the new games like say Horizon Forbidden West that looks absolutely phenomenal, but there is nothing on Xbox that genuinely looks as good as Infamous Second Son does, and this is the world's most powerful console. And the Ratchet and Clank game and the care and the, like I said, I've got about 500,000 gamer score on Xbox. I've got about 10 trophies on PlayStation, probably a few more, but I've never chased them. And playing these games on PlayStation again, I found doing what I enjoy most. Now, to you who have been sort of PlayStation enthusiasts, you might love the trophy system because in art it's the same as the Xbox achievements. So for those of you that don't know, again, there'll be like there's bronze trophies, silver, gold, and then you get platinum for doing them all. And again, they're exactly the same as achievements, but I always thought the number value was more appealing than just, oh, you've got 48 silver trophies. Oh, great, I've got 50,000 gamer score. But I don't care for the trophies on the PlayStation. I don't check where they are. I just play the game. And that's what's been missing for as long as I can remember with my gaming habits, is I've missed gaming and just getting immersed in the world. And that's what this little thing offers me. PlayStation little thing is massive. If I could turn it around, I mean, I've got a big TV and it's literally half the size of the TV. It's a big old unit. So you've got this console that, you know, it's powerful, but it just looks amazing. And even the last gen, and then you've got this controller that actually does things. You don't have to use it like that and all the things, but it's there if you want it in a next level immersion. So that the two things that made me fall in love instantly with the PlayStation was the controller, but the game's quality was back. But then we weren't finished there, because there's one thing that I've been hunting for, and I'm still not sure I've made the right decision completely, but I definitely don't regret my decision, is I've been looking at an Oculus for a while now, and I thought, is it going to be a fad? And one of the reasons that I bought the PlayStation is I got the VR headset, which is just over the side of me. And again, there's not too many games out, and I'm not sure. I know there's a new VR unit coming out. I'm hoping that you're still going to be able to use the VR headset that I've got. I'm not going to have to buy a new one because that would make me sad. But I've got the motion controls, I've got the light on, and again, that adds you in. I mean, we've been playing Beat Saber, the Spider-Man experience, which just I panicked and threw myself on the floor because I thought I was literally falling off a building. Super Hot, which is a game that I played on Xbox and I did not get it. I deleted it after about 10 minutes. Played it on the VR headset. It's absolutely phenomenal. I am John Wick, Keanu Reeves, Neo in that game. It's phenomenal. Like, you've got full 360 spatial, things coming behind you, you're punching people, you're catching guns out of the air, you're living your John Woo fantasies. It's amazing. And I've got that option with PlayStation as well. So yes, it's more money, but you've got the extra controllers, the different things, the VR capabilities, the Move controllers. You've got none of that with Xbox now. And it just opens up more worlds and more accessibility and more fun. And then if I want to, I can plug my VR headset into my PC and then use that on there. Yeah, it's not just as A to B as that. However, I've got that option there. So at the minute, I've pooped on Xbox and I've loved Sony. So what's the downsides with Sony? So as I say, with Xbox, you've got Game Pass, which is great. Sony have had PlayStation Now, which is like an on-demand streaming service, but then they've had PlayStation Plus, where I wouldn't even say it's arguable. I think it's a fact that the PlayStation Plus games have always been much better than what Xbox has had to offer with its games of gold. The PlayStation Now service has sort of been a little bit... It was meant to be Game Pass, but nobody really cared because some of the games on there are just so old now and were a bit niche anyway that nobody really bothers. So PlayStation are now changing it where they're having tiered subscriptions. So if you have your basic, I think it's £6-7 a month, you get access to a load of PS4 and PS5 games. I think the PS Now catalog's available in there. And then there's a subscription above that which includes more, and there's a top subscription which has emulators. Now the Xbox, for say 99% of its back catalogue, if you're coming from an old Xbox, an OG Xbox, a 360, an Xbox One, everything is backwards compatible. And that's what Xbox said they wanted. They also wanted to make it forward compatible. So anything that comes out in the future, everything that you own will carry across. So the emulation service, if you like, or how the games run on the Xbox are fantastic. They're generally upscaled, they generally run at faster frames per second, you've got the better resolution, and there's a few tricks in there that improve like load distances, things along those lines, lighting, and it generally always looks better. With PlayStation, they are trying to run like an emulation service, and it's about 340p on the older games, and it's not fantastic. That's obviously for your PlayStation 1 games and things along those lines, so the retro games. So that really does need working on, especially if you're going to be paying for that, where that's an inbuilt feature on the Xbox. You plug one of your old discs in, it'll work. You download it off the marketplace, it'll work. There's no messing about. But that's the downside with PlayStation. Obviously, the PlayStation have said as well, with their Game Pass, if you like, they're not going to include first-party games. But this has been my argument with Xbox as well, is PlayStation, if I go and buy a PlayStation first-party exclusive, if I know, it's not even out, I know Wolverine's going to be fantastic. It's not even out, Spider-Man 2 is going to be fantastic. I know the next Uncharted is going to be fantastic. I can... Whatever Sony throw out that's in their first-party sort of AAA, console exclusive, I know that it's going to be fantastic. The quality is going to be there. And I know people will buy it. And I think even if you did put it on the Game Pass, I don't think people would care because they've not come from that background. People would still go and buy it. It'll all sell millions of copies, whereas Xbox bring out an exclusive. It doesn't really sell. People are still playing. Your top games are still FIFA, Warzone, which is a free game, Fortnite, which is a free game. And then everything else sort of takes a dip. So they're multi-plat anyway for the most part. But where if you look at sort of Xbox exclusive games, they just the sales are just not there. People are throwing these sales figures about how Xbox is outperforming PlayStation at the minute. True, and I'm happy for Xbox. The problem is because you've had Series S, which have been it's pretty constant, so they're counting them. The Series X is coming in, but PlayStation has just not been available. So ignore that. You don't need to worry about that. So I've waffled for a good 40 minutes now, and I'm sure you're bored of my voice. So verdicts, let's get in. So Series S, nice, cheap, pick one up second up hand. That's for if you want something, you're a new gamer yourself, you haven't really got time to games, it's nice and small, it's compact if you want to take it on holiday for the kids in caravan, for if it's, weather's gone a bit poor here, looks nice and shiny, but I can tell you it's not. You're just not that interested in gaming, or you've just need a get by or something to see if your kids take to gaming or whatever. Series S is great. The Titans. Right, so Xbox Pros, Game Pass, if you're a new gamer, fantastic. The online service, fantastic. The menus, fantastic, really easy to navigate. The partnerships with them, pretty fantastic. If you just want a games machine, just a pure games machine online, fantastic. The achievements, if you're into that, yeah, fantastic. Pricing structure, there's nothing to it with Game Pass. It's pretty straightforward. So, as a new gamer, it's fantastic. But somebody like me, it's swings and roundabouts. Like, I'm cancelling my Game Pass subscription this month because I just see no value in it at the minute. The perks and everything else. Again, if you play the games, they might be great for you. If not, again, I can't remember the last time I used a perk. I think I used them for Smite to get a free skin. So you've got that. But that's it. It's just an online games console. It's got the power, and it's obviously got the backwards compatibility. So if you're sat on the fence, with your 360 or your Xbox One, your OG edition, and you think, I don't know, just know that everything carries across. All your games and things, all your Xbox One peripherals will just work across. It's pretty user friendly. The downsides for me with Xbox is the games library. I mean, you can show. I know they've got this partnership with Activision, and they're adding all the Call of Duty games to Game Pass. Great, but who wants to play them? Nobody. You'll have a little niche market for each individual one and a little blast, but nobody wants to play it anyway. They want the latest one. They want Warzone. They want Warzone 2 or Modern Warfare 2, which is whatever's coming out next. They don't want to play the old ones. So unless you've missed out on the single player campaign, I don't need 40 of the same game. I'd take one, like Uncharted, to all them. So the games I find lacking on Xbox. There's plenty of them, don't get me wrong, but you're either going to be, if you're a massive indie fan, if you want to load up that emulator, which you can get installed, RetroArch, brilliant. But if you want that, I'd recommend going for the S anyway. But again, I can do all that on my PC, but I did like having that sort of like old school console feel with the Series S. But really, it's like I say, the downside to Xbox is the games library. While vast, I want quality over quantity. PlayStation. Another downside as well is your console's your console. There's no VR, there's no Kinect anymore. Even if you buy the adapters, you can't use Kinect on the Series X. Mine's just sat in, which I wish it were. I used to love having a dance and a boogie around my room. But we've took that box of the VR now, so that's it. Your console is your console. You can plug a mouse and keyboard in, use it that way on some games, but that's it. It's an Xbox console. There's no expansion beyond that. As I say, nothing with no feedback on the controller or anything apart from rumble. Nothing there. Okay. PlayStation. Its downsides. We'll go to downsides. One, it's a unit. It is massive. It's one of the things that initially put me off it, but now it's there, it's fine. The Game Pass sort of side of things is not there yet, but as I say, it's not either tiers, and the PlayStation Now I don't think is worth the paper it's written on. The online service, they've had the issues with hacks and security in the past. I will say it's not as stable as Microsoft servers, but that's near there. I would say PlayStation's got the better licenses with things. The menus on the PlayStation are not terrible, but again, not as clear as the Xbox. But that's all I can really say on the downside. And then the backwards compatibility and emulation isn't fantastic. The upsides of the PlayStation. The games are absolutely fantastic. If you're a single player gamer, I mean, obviously you've got your multiplayer. The one thing that PlayStation does fail on tends to be its online games. It doesn't have many online exclusives that really sort of catch on, whereas Xbox has got its Gears, its Halo, its Forza. They're bigger than I'd say anything PlayStation has to offer. However, you've still got your multi-platform games. You've got Final Fantasy 14, if that's your thing. That's one of our big draws to PlayStation at the minute as well. The single player exclusives are above and beyond anything that Xbox has produced so far. The quality, even on the older games, fantastic. The feedback on the controller. This controller is pretty comfortable as well. Feels pretty robust. The little features you've got in there. The love and care that Sony puts into the games is second to none, apart from Nintendo. And then, as an expansive unit, you've got the new VR coming out. You've got the VR headset that you can use. You do need a connector for it, which you can order free from Sony to connect it to your new PlayStation, because there's no auxiliary input for it. But other than that, I can't fault the PlayStation at all. It's brought my joy back to gaming. So which one to buy? Xbox. So Series S, we've said, is like your entry level, Xbox or PlayStation. The be all and end all, it's down to you. I would, and I think it's hard to make the jump as well. If you've got all your friends on one, and they've got one and they're stuck to it, it's hard to come away. Obviously, if you can afford both, brilliant. If you want both, get the one that you prefer first, and then later on down the line, when they revise the consoles, pick up the other. But it swings and roundabouts. If you want the online side of things more, you want to build a cheap, vast gamer library, maybe Xbox is for you. If you want something that truly is a graphical powerhouse, you don't really care for online that much, but it's there as an option. You just want to get lost in single-player worlds that you are going to love, absolutely fall in love with, then there's no doubt it's the PlayStation for you. So for the two people that are going to sit and watch this, thank you for your time. If you've got any questions or comments, pop them down below. I'm going to disappear now, get some food, get a drink, because I've been talking far too long. But if you have stuck with it, I appreciate you guys' time. But if you can if you can comment, if you want to subscribe to my channel and tell me what content you want me back, because now I'm sort of settled, I want to be back and giving you the content that you deserve. So whether that's playing games, doing walkthroughs, guides, if you want me back into FIFA, you let me know, guys. If you want me to do sort of consoles and information on that, brilliant. But if you don't tell me, then I don't know what you want to watch. But other than that, guys, I appreciate your time. As always, sort of stay safe, stay warm, because it's horrible outside. And always, guys, peace and love.